Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Sunday, November 19th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 Bank Shot best bet, as well as my all-access season pass in college basketball, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Sunday in college hoops. First up is Northern Kentucky taking on Cincinnati. This one's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. This is kind of a regional rivalry, but it's also a revenge game for Cincinnati, who got upset by Northern Kentucky last year, 64 to 51, a 13-point loss for Cincinnati on the road. But this year, the Bearcats, I do think, have the much better team, and they're also playing at home in this game. They're so far playing great basketball on both sides of the ball. They're 3-0 to start the season. Wins over Illinois, Chicago, Detroit, Mercy, and Eastern Washington. Not great teams, but I would honestly put Northern Kentucky with Illinois, Chicago, and Eastern Washington in terms of just talent level. And NKU's 1-2 to start the year. Their 2 true road games, losses to Middle Tennessee and Washington. They were pretty competitive in that Washington game, but Northern Kentucky, they're not shooting the ball well right now. They're 309 in the country in effective field goal percentage, 352nd in three-point percentage, and the one advantage that NKU has done a good job of getting against most opponents is their offensive rebounding percentage. Last year was top 100. So far this year, 40.8% of missed shots have been an offensive rebound for the Norse. That's 21st in the country. However, you're playing against Cincinnati, the #1 defensive rebounding team right now in Division I college hoops. So I think that advantage goes out the window. I think Cincinnati holds NKU to 1 trip per possession and a lot of turnovers also for NKU to start the year. So I don't think their offense is a good day here. The defense is ranked 227th in adjusted defensive efficiency. I don't think it also has a good day in this spot. I'm going to take Cincinnati for a revenge blowout win at home. Next up, we see American and Georgetown. This one, 4:30 Eastern. It's going to be on Fox Sports 2. Now, we took Georgetown on Saturday, laid the points against Mount St. Mary's. They covered for us in the end, winning that game by 11 points. But I got to say, I really wasn't impressed by that performance. I know Georgetown, the big reason why they covered was because their shooting numbers were a lot better in that game. They shot 60% from two-point range and 36% from the three-point line, which was 16% better than Mount St. Mary's. They also shot about 12% better than Mount St. Mary's at the free throw line. But, when you look at those percentages, you would think that Georgetown would win this game by 15, 20 points. Only 11-point win because they turned the ball over 20 times compared to 10 for Mount St. Mary's. So the turnover battle was, a big advantage for Mount St. Mary's. And the offensive rebounding was about even. So I really wasn't impressed with the fundamentals from Georgetown in that ball game. And now this is the second day of a back-to-back. Americans had a few days off to rest. I know they haven't been great in true road games so far this year, but this is a solid offense, a good shooting team. I mean, so far, top 200 in both three-point and two-point shooting. They take care of the basketball. They're a pretty good rebounding team, especially on the defensive end, so they'll be able to limit Georgetown to 1 shot per trip. The defense overall, not great. I do think Georgetown scores plenty of points in this one, but I think American keeps up with them at least through 30, 35 minutes, and that should be enough to cover the spread in the end. I think Georgetown wins. I think American covers. Give me the points with the Eagles. Next up, we see Fordham and Abilene Christian. This one's going to be 5:45 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+, a neutral site game in the Paradise Jam tournament. It's going to be in the Virgin Islands, and this should be a great game, but I really like what I saw from Abilene Christian against San Jose State. We took them plus the points, and they won the game outright by 6, 77-71. And the first half wasn't great. It was really worrisome seeing their offense struggle to get really anything going. But in the second half, they figured it out, and their offense looked super strong. A lot of scoring options got going. Arian Simmons had a big second half. Hunter Jack Madden stayed hot from the three-point line. And this is an offense now that I think going forward, you're going to have to watch out for. The defense was already where it needed to be, especially in that second half against a good Spartans team. But now the offense starting to get going. They took care of the basketball. They made their shots. And facing Fordham, an offense I do not trust in Fordham, 270th in adjusted offensive efficiency, 279th in turnover percentage, which is a big worry against an Abilene Christian defense. Fordham's defense is solid. I think they'll be able to force some turnovers, but I don't think the offense is good enough to hang around in a game like this. Fordham took care of business against Norfolk State, but Norfolk State is not Abilene Christian. I think this is a much tougher matchup, especially at a neutral site. I like ACU in this one. I'm going to take them on the money line. Next up, we see St. Mary's and Xavier. This one's 7:30 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. I'm just not in love with this Xavier team right now. When you look at Xavier last year, 27-10 record. They were one of the better teams in the Big East and honestly the country. And they lost a lot of production from that team. And going into this season, they look solid on paper, but you lost 2 of your best players, arguably your top 2 players in Fremantle and Jerome Hunter. They were ruled out for the season. So this team is not where it needs to be on paper. And on the court. They're taking a lot of low percentage shots offensively, a lot of fadeaway jumpers from the mid-range, a lot of floaters, and I just don't think that that's where you need to be. Those are low percentage shots you can't sustain, and we saw him make them against Robert Morris and Jacksonville and parts of that Purdue game when they covered, but against Washington, especially in the second half, the shots were not falling, and I think going forward, I'm just going to fade this offense. I think St. Mary's, while they're struggling as of late, is still a really good defensive program. They're top 50 in adjusted defensive efficiency. I think they're going to force a lot of tough shots in this ballgame. I think the shooting numbers for St. Mary's will also improve. This is still a top 100 offense in terms of efficiency, but they're ranked 277th in effective field goal percentage, 318th in three-point percentage. Last year, St. Mary's much better numbers shooting-wise. So I think we're going to see those improvements as the season goes on. Because of the recent loss, I think we're getting with St. Mary's at a really good price. To me, they should be favored by a lot more. So give me St. Mary's laying the points. Next up, we see South Dakota State taking on UCF, the final game we're going to talk about for Sunday's card of college basketball. This one, 8 p.m. It's going to be in the Jacksonville Classic, a neutral site game in St. Augustine, the Flagler Gymnasium. Now, South Dakota State, I thought they were pretty unlucky in that game against Kansas State on the road. Kansas State had an amazing shooting performance in that ball game, 58% from 2, 56% from 3, 14 to 25 from the perimeter. And South Dakota State on the other side only shot 45.5% from 2, a measly 33% from 3, and 47% from the free throw line. So just when you look at the shooting numbers alone, it explains a blowout. But South Dakota State actually fundamentally wasn't too shabby. I mean, they had 5 more offensive rebounds than Kansas State did, and part of that's because Kansas State didn't really miss too many shots. But they also forced 17 turnovers on Kansas State. So going forward, I think South Dakota State's defense will be better in terms of the opponent's shooting numbers. South Dakota State, a really good offensive team, 83rd in adjusted offensive efficiency, a good three-point shooting team despite their last game. I think going forward, this is going to be a good offense and a team to watch out for in the Summit League. I think we're getting value on them in a game like this because of UCF's 2-1 winning record, a good defense for UCF, but their offense, do I trust it enough to cover this big number in a neutral site gym? I just don't think so. UCF turning the ball over quite a bit to start the season, not the best shooting team. They're ranked outside the top 100 in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're also taking quite a few fouls defensively, so South Dakota State should be able to get back to the free throw line. I think going forward, those free throw numbers will be a lot better. So I'm going to go with South Dakota State here. Honestly, would not surprise me to see them win this game outright. They've won plenty of games in neutral site tournaments before. I'm going to take South Dakota State plus the points. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.